You probably think following that little maintenance booklet in your glove box to the exact letter means your engine will outlast the rest of the car. But the truth that no dealership wants to tell you is that those factory recommendations are often the exact reason your daily driver is slowly destroying itself from the inside out. They test these cars in climate-controlled laboratories with perfect fuel and zero traffic. You drive in the real world. You sit in bumper-to-bumper traffic, you do short trips to the grocery store in freezing weather, and you idle at drive-thrus. If you are blindly following the standard 10,000-mile oil change interval, you are playing a very dangerous game with your hard-earned money. Let us get right into the biggest lie in the automotive industry and how you can actually keep your vehicle running like it just rolled off the assembly line. The oil in your engine is not just a lubricant, it is the absolute lifeblood of the machine. When you wait 10,000 miles to change it, the chemical composition of that oil breaks down completely. It loses its viscosity and its ability to protect the metal surfaces. If you pull the dipstick and take a close look, you might even smell a faint hint of raw fuel. That is called oil dilution. Every time you do a short trip and the engine does not reach its full operating temperature, unburned fuel washes past the piston rings and mixes with the oil in the pan. This thins out the oil so much that it can no longer cushion the bearings or the camshafts. By the time you hit 5,000 miles, especially if you drive in heavy city traffic, that oil is saturated with microscopic metal shavings and carbon soot. Mechanics can hear the difference the second you pull into the bay. The valve train sounds a little louder. The timing chain might have a slight rattle. Experienced drivers know that you never change your oil based on a generic number on the dashboard. You change it based on how you drive. If you are doing extreme duty driving, which honestly includes most stop-and-go commuting, you need to dump that oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Sure, doing this might cost you an extra $50 a year, but it is the cheapest engine insurance you will ever buy. Neglecting this simple task guarantees internal rust, sludge buildup, and a premature trip to the scrapyard. Before we get into the silent killer that damages your engine every single morning before you even pull out of your driveway, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on these real garage tips. Now, a lot of drivers have this misconception that an engine only takes damage when you are out on the highway pushing it to the red line. The reality is that the most catastrophic wear happens in the first 30 seconds after you turn the key in the morning. When your car sits overnight, all the oil drains down into the oil pan. The cylinder walls, the piston skirts, the camshaft lobes, they are all sitting there practically bone dry. When you jump in, fire it up, and immediately drop it into gear to speed off down the street, you are forcing metal to grind against metal with zero lubrication. Mechanics literally call this the cold death of an engine. It is a completely silent process. Every time you do it, you are leaving microscopic scratches on the cylinder walls. Over the years, those scratches deepen, you lose cylinder compression, and suddenly your car feels sluggish and burns oil. The fix is incredibly simple and costs absolutely nothing. Just wait. Start the engine, let it idle for about 20 to 30 seconds. Let the oil pump push that fluid up into the top end of the engine. Once you get moving, keep your foot light on the pedal. Keep the engine speed under 2,500 revolutions per minute for the first few miles, until the temperature gauge starts to move. Think of your engine like an athlete. You would never sprint a full mile the second you roll out of bed without stretching first. The mechanics are exactly the same. Take a look at taxicabs in major cities. They easily clear 250,000 miles on the original engine without breaking a sweat because they stay at operating temperature all day long. It is the short trips and the rushed cold starts that murder everyday engines. Speaking of factory recommendations that make zero sense, let us talk about the biggest scam currently running in the service bays, and that is lifetime transmission fluid. So many modern vehicles, whether you are driving a reliable Toyota Camry or hauling heavy loads in a Ford F-150, come with sealed transmissions. The dealer will look you dead in the eye and tell you the fluid never needs to be changed for the life of the vehicle. What they do not tell you is that their definition of a vehicle's lifetime is usually about 100,000 miles, right when the extended warranty expires. Transmission fluid operates under extreme heat and immense pressure. Every time your automatic transmission shifts gears, clutch packs are engaging and disengaging, shedding tiny particles of friction material into the fluid. Over time, that fluid turns from a bright cherry red into a dark, burned-smelling sludge. If you tow a trailer, drive in the mountains, or sit in endless gridlock, that fluid cooks even faster. By ignoring the transmission, you are asking for harsh shifts, delayed engagement, and eventually a total catastrophic failure that will cost you thousands of dollars to replace. Smart owners completely ignore the lifetime fluid myth. Get under there and do a simple drain and fill every 30,000 to 60,000 miles depending on how hard you work the vehicle. It restores the crisp, shifting feel and ensures the valve body inside the transmission does not get jammed up with metal shavings. Another major component that gets completely neglected because it is buried under plastic engine covers is the throttle body. Think of the throttle body as the lungs of your engine. It controls exactly how much air enters the intake manifold when you press the gas pedal. Because of the positive crankcase ventilation system, hot oil vapors and carbon constantly get routed back into the intake. Over tens of thousands of miles, this sticky black carbon bakes onto the throttle plate. When that happens, the plate cannot open and close smoothly anymore. The engine literally starts to suffocate. You will notice the idle starts to surge or dip at stoplights. The engine might vibrate weirdly. And when you step on the gas, there is an annoying hesitation before the car actually accelerates. Most people think they need expensive new spark plugs or ignition coils, but usually, it is just a dirty throttle body. You can fix this yourself in your driveway in less than 15 minutes. You pop off the main air intake hose, spray some dedicated throttle body cleaner onto a clean shop rag, and gently wipe the carbon away from the butterfly valve. Doing this simple maintenance every 12,000 miles completely transforms how the car responds. The idle smooths out, your MPG improves because the computer isn't fighting for air, and the engine feels alive again. I am about to break down a critical issue regarding complex engine timing systems that will leave you stranded on the side of the road if you ignore it. But before I give you the solution, take a second to subscribe to the channel if you are getting value out of this garage talk. Now, let us tie this all together by looking at the highly complex systems that modern cars use to make power, specifically variable valve timing systems. If you have ever owned a BMW, like an E46 or an E90, you have definitely heard of the Vano system. Other brands have their own versions, but they all operate on the exact same principle. They use engine oil pressure to actively adjust the camshaft timing while you drive, giving you better fuel economy down low and more horsepower at the top end. The problem is that these systems rely on incredibly tiny oil passages and sensitive electronic solenoids. If you stretch your oil change intervals and sludge begins to form, those tiny screens get completely choked off. The system starves for oil pressure, throws a check engine light, and puts your car into limp mode. To make matters worse, these systems generate a lot of heat, which brings us to the cooling system. Most drivers wait for a water pump to physically crack and leak coolant everywhere before they replace it. In the modern era, especially with heavy-duty trucks or complex European sedans, you have to treat the cooling system as preventative maintenance. The plastic impellers inside these water pumps become brittle from constant heat cycling. Once they shatter, the engine overheats in a matter of seconds, warping the aluminum cylinder head and blowing the head gasket. Do not wait for a disaster. Swap out the water pump, the thermostat, and flush the coolant every 60,000 miles. Keeping the engine temperatures strictly controlled prevents the oil from baking onto the variable timing solenoids. It is a closed loop of maintenance. Good clean oil protects the timing components, and a fresh cooling system protects the oil from breaking down prematurely. Maintaining your vehicle is not about throwing parts at it or spending your weekends at the dealership. It is about understanding the mechanical reality of how these machines operate under stress. Forget the laboratory conditions in the manual. Keep your oil fresh. Give the engine time to wake up in the morning. Ignore the lifetime fluid lies. Let the engine breathe through a clean throttle body and stay ahead of the cooling system. Do these things, and your car will happily serve you for decades. I want to hear what is going on in your own garage right now. Drop down into the comments and tell me what error codes you are fighting, what weird noises your engine is making, or how many miles you have managed to squeeze out of your current daily driver. Let us figure it out together. If you learned something new today and want to keep your ride running strong, hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and I will see you in the next one.